Hello, everyone. Thank you for showing up for this transmission with me, Omaji, and the Council of Light. I'm so grateful to be here, and we are in a very intense and auspicious, energetic with this full moon that just came through on the 5th of November, and what we are preparing to welcome with the 1111 Stargate. So we're in this very beautiful, energetic wave right now. And we are almost continually at this time in energetic wave after wave. But what I'm looking at this week, and it's been coming up in group sessions, private sessions, is this idea of a culmination time where we know, part of us knows that in 2026, there's this new launch point happening around February, March, where we're going to be initiating in a new beginning. And we did that this year at the spring equinox here in the US in March of 2025. And this is going to be like a second wave of that initiation, new evolutionary cycle energetic. And we are in this time of endings, new beginnings. So a lot of cycles wrapping themselves up in order to start a new cycle. And it's cycles within cycles, ending and beginning, ending and beginning, ending and beginning. So there's not a stopping happening, right? It's all about the idea is ideally we're in the flow with all of it, where we're ending this and we're beginning the new. We're launching the new. We're ending something else. We're launching the new. And it's this infinity symbol energetic. And play with the idea that you have lived multiple incarnations and had many, 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 many moments of ending, new beginning. You do it every time you take a breath. Every breath is an ending and a new beginning with the inhale and the exhale. And so if we have previous incarnations or previous moments in this incarnation where there was a schism of sorts with an ending or a beginning, or that kind of passing of the torch from ending new beginning, we can feel that schism can reflect, it can echo into this particular time of endings, new beginnings, where it's a bit of a rough road instead of a smooth sailing. And so if we use this time to do the energetic cleanup for all previous moments where there was a schism and an ending and a new beginning, we lighten the load, we create a smoother energetic terrain so there's less turbulence. It's an easier ride. And we've also used it to evolve ourselves so that it doesn't get repeated in any new cycle, ending, new beginning to come. And so one of those times that's really prominent for endings, new beginnings is our time in the womb. The time in the womb actually represents a cycle within a cycle where we come into the womb, and that's a new beginning, and it's an ending of what we were experiencing prior to that, prior to being in the womb. And then our time in the womb can be, in the grand scheme of things, pretty brief. And then we have an ending and a new beginning when we're birthed out of the womb. And so our body devas also go through the endings, new beginnings. We go through the endings, new beginnings. And there can also be a lot that happens while we're in the womb, where we can take on stuff that isn't ours because we think it's ours, or we're trying to help the mother that's carrying us, or a sibling that's either already incarnated that was maybe prior to us, that there's still some residue that's theirs that was left in the womb. And we can take on some of their issues and challenges. We could also take on any issues or challenges or energies of a twin that didn't make the full process or cycle of birth, where maybe it did, maybe we were with the twin in the womb, we both birthed on our birthday, but perhaps this twin was only there for the first few weeks or even a month or two with us in the womb. But we perhaps took on some of their challenges, issues, fabric, and or haven't fully processed them leaving in the womb. So there's lots of layers, and I get shown over and over again that we're actually going to be doing a session to deal with all those layers that we took on in the womb, including the twin energy, including previous tenets of the womb, in an Empowered Evolution Masterclass on November 15th. It's a very perfect timing for this type of work as we're in this endings, new beginnings arena, and Mercury's retrograde and other astrological alignments make it basically perfect timing to do the healing in the womb work. We're also going to include all previous incarnations, so not just this incarnation. And so there's lots of layers to this, and I'm shown over and over again that we're going to be, when we're diving into the work, new layers are going to show up that I haven't even seen before. They're saying unprecedented pieces. So if you'd like to join us for that Empowered Evolution Masterclass, we're going to be doing it on November 15th on a sliding scale, and you can learn about it using a link we'll include below, but also on our website at embracingtheinfinite.com. And with this idea of healing, the endings, new beginnings, the other piece that's stepping forward at this time is the spotlight on greater sovereignty. And so what's been coming up over the past week, and really 2 weeks with group sessions and clients, is wanting to refine our stance in a greater way into more sovereignty. And so this womb piece goes hand in hand with that, because sovereignty is all about being in our own energy, only processing what's ours, only evolving ourselves, molding our own clay, no one else's, and setting those strong boundaries where other people's challenges, issues, energies, control can't be placed on us. We are controlling ourselves, we are honoring ourselves, we are loving ourselves. Therefore, we set the appropriate boundaries, and we're not attempting to want or desire or choose for another, because then we step out of sovereignty. So where during this time where things are literally highlighted, we can see more clearly? Are you noticing where you still might be trying to mold someone else's clay, or stepping out of your lane, veering out of your own lane into someone else's lane, trying to choose for them, or wanting them to be different, or wanting a situation, a circumstance that's external to be different? Because anytime we want something out here to shift, whether it's another's behavior or a situation or circumstance, we start to stream our energy externally. It's literally like trying to mold the clay externally of that thing or that person or that situation. And so we move out of the sovereignty. So I'm going to use this example that came up this week in a group session, because I feel like it might be happening in a lot of ways very similarly for many of us, where we're doing the tools every day. We're doing the work of staying on our balance beam and saying, okay, I'm going to do my energetic cleanup every day, return everything that's not mine, return responsibility that's not mine, retrieve responsibility, retrieve my energy back on me, and get clean and clear, maybe at the end of every day. But then I find that during the day, the next day, I get lost, especially with challenges that arise, maybe in my world, but maybe it's for others. And I want others not to suffer. And as soon as I want them not to suffer, I want them not to struggle, what happens is my energy, my creative energy, starts to stream on them, on their situation, trying to help them. And that's actually disempowering for them. And it takes me out of the sovereignty. And as soon as I step off the balance beam, out of the sovereignty, I now have basically opened the doors, opened the windows to start empathically feeling their struggle, their suffering, their challenges, and maybe even try to process it for them. or my body data tries to do that. So we've literally crossed a boundary wanting for someone else because it's equivalent to trying to choose for them. So we've stepped out of the oneness way into the separation simulation, separation dance, codependence. We're now attempting to be source for another, or attempting to choose for another. And because the oneness way is established and the foundation of it is free will. Every being has free will. Every being has a spark in the heart of source and was ordained with free will at point of inception by source itself. If we try to usurp that free will and choose for them not to suffer or not to behave a certain way, maybe we're perceiving someone's out of integrity and we want them to not be out of integrity. So we're attempting to choose their journey for them, their path, what they experience or don't experience, when in fact, some part of them, a very empowered part of them, scripted their journey very specifically based on their current level of consciousness and what they're actually after in this incarnation. So when we attempt to choose for them, wanting their situation or circumstance or their behavior to be different, we take a nugget of their power. And we're no longer in the sovereignty. We're off the balance beam. Most of the time, if you're doing this work, you're at a certain level of consciousness where you want to be helpful. Like that's at your core, you're wired to be of service. You actually want to be helpful. And so what this part in the journey is helping you become aware that it is not helpful to want or desire for another, even if it's wanting them not to suffer. Take a moment and feel into and reflect on your own journey and times in your own journey where you went through a suffering or a struggle. Did you use it to evolve you in some way, to shift you in some way? Because that was your mechanism at the time for shifting yourself, for cultivating greater empowerment or greater confidence or strength or whatever it was, or courage. So what if those who are appearing to struggle in current experience, they're using that struggle because they're after something? We don't have to know what it is. It's not our business. Let's let their higher self be in charge of what they're cultivating for themselves. So instead of trying to choose for them not to struggle, say, oh, they're struggling. They must be after something. I'm going to let their higher self handle it. And then if we want to be helpful, first of all, that's helpful because we're not seeing them as one who is disempowered. If we were to feel sorry for them for struggling, we're now affirming that they're disempowered, that they're not connected to an infinite source. And we affirm that for them, that's not helpful. And it puts us in the separation codependent loop. So what if you could affirm for them that some very wise part of them has their back? They're struggling because they're after something. And then the next thing you could reach for is to be helpful. If you want to put a cherry on top of being helpful, first of all, see them as who they are in truth. Second is you can invite them from the future as an ascended master, their body deva from the future in a fully enlightened state, to come back in time and walk with them, share information, help them in whatever way is appropriate. And again, you don't have to know what that is. They know what would be helpful. When their future self is helping them, it's them helping them, and that's empowering. They're not having to give their power away. They're not placing reference points externally on an external savior of some kind. So just by making that simple request, you could call it a prayer for their future self in a fully enlightened state, body's future self in fully enlightened state, to come back and assist them if they even need assistance, share information. Then you've done your job. You've been helpful. You've been helpful in a healthy, co-creative way from a place of oneness and empowerment. So that can be your new tool, replacing feeling sorry for or wanting for another. Then the other thing you can layer in is inviting an activation for you, your body, your teams, of greater compassion for them, for their journey. Higher self, body's higher self, will you activate and amplify greater compassion in relationship to this situation, this person, this circumstance? For me, my body, and teams. Choose to activate greater compassion, because compassion does not see through a disempowered lens. Feeling sorry for is seeing through a disempowered lens, and it assumes separation from source. We're going to show you the difference energetically. And so we're inviting you at this time to reach for what is most helpful, reframe your perception of what is most helpful, and to invite the amplification for yourselves of the greater sovereignty, greater compassion. What you are really after during this time of endings, new beginnings, is to hone your stance of sovereignty, refine your stance of sovereignty, so that you don't get tripped up by old mechanisms in separation consciousness that take you off your balance beam, that take you off your surfboard. And that's really what this time is for. It's to hone our stance into greater sovereignty. It's to hone that it's a refinement of the oneness energetic stance, where we're not functioning from the codependence anymore for any reason, even if it appears to be virtuous. We invite a balancing and stabilizing of all your energetic fields, updating all grids, all reference points, all ways in which you perceive and are perceived. If you'd like to journey with us for the Womb Healing Empowered Evolution Masterclass, that's on November 15th. And then we're also going to be offering a transmission of light for the 11/11 Stargate on 11/11, which is Tuesday, November 11th. And you can join us live or through the recordings. Your higher self will be present with us live regardless, however you choose to join. And we're also offering that on a sliding scale. We'll add a link below to that 11/11 Stargate transmission, which is the most potent 11/11 in recent memory. It feels like another launch point. And they're saying a preparation, a launch that's then preparing us for the winter solstice. And I'm also being shown some turbulence that's going to be navigated from sometime towards the end of November to maybe the first, second week in December. And so third week in December, even into that third week of December. So play with this idea that this 11/11 alignment and attunement is all about helping you link more into your sovereignty, into your mastery stance that will allow for a smoother ride for you and a more empowered ride, they're saying. Good. We invite a balancing and stabilizing of your energetic fields, inviting you to hone in, to link in, to lean into the part of you that knows what's appropriate for you in every breath and every moment, staying present in the now as you navigate this time, this very auspicious time of transition into the new. Thank you for showing up. Much love.